Gary Burghoff's connection to the iconic character Radar O'Reilly began long before MASH became a household name. In 1970, he was cast by visionary director Robert Altman to portray Radar in the film adaptation of MASH. At the time, Gary was a relatively unknown stage actor and jazz drummer. His portrayal of the young, wide-eyed company clerk left an indelible mark on audiences, despite his limited screen time. Radar's innocence and sincerity provided a grounding force within the chaotic and cynical atmosphere of the war satire. When the film was adapted into a television series in 1972, Gary was the only actor asked to reprise his role, cementing his place as a beloved character in TV history. Though hesitant at first, the opportunity to bring Radar to life on a weekly basis proved irresistible. The impact of MASH on American TV. When MASH premiered in 1972, it quickly became a groundbreaking show, redefining television with its mix of humor, tragedy, and powerful commentary on war. Set in Korea during the Korean War, the show aired at the height of the Vietnam War, creating an immediate connection with audiences. While the show explored deep themes of disillusionment and the human cost of war, Radar O'Reilly emerged as a symbol of innocence amidst the chaos. His ability to hear helicopters before anyone else, and his unwavering loyalty to his fellow soldiers, made him a fan favorite. Gary's portrayal of Radar, marked by his awkward mannerisms and vulnerability, resonated deeply with viewers. His performance brought warmth to the show, making Radar the heart of the 477th. However, as the show progressed, the pressures of fame and expectation began to take their toll. The burden of typecasting. As MASH evolved, Gary Burghoff found himself trapped in the very role that made him famous. While the other actors, such as Alan Alda, Wayne Rogers, and McLean Stevenson, were given more complex and evolving characters, Radar remained the same, forever the innocent, wide-eyed clerk. This typecasting proved suffocating for Gary. He began to internalize the constant pressure to maintain Radar's innocence, which the audience loved. As the show progressed, Gary felt the weight of the expectations placed on him. Radar was not allowed to evolve in the way the other characters did, and that stagnation weighed heavily on Gary's shoulders. Despite his talent and desire to explore deeper layers of his character, the producers and writers insisted on keeping Radar's persona intact. This frustration grew as the series went on, leaving Gary feeling like he was locked into a role that no longer reflected his true self. The strain behind the scenes. While the cast of MASH was beloved for their camaraderie both on and off screen, the reality behind the scenes was often less harmonious. Gary's relationship with his co-stars, particularly Wayne Rogers, began to show signs of strain. Early on, there was undeniable chemistry between Gary and Wayne, with their playful teasing of Radar's awkwardness. But the long shooting days and the emotional intensity of the show began to wear on them. Gary, a perfectionist, often asked for additional takes or questioned the dialogue to ensure his performance felt true. This caused delays and frustration on set. According to accounts, Wayne eventually reached his breaking point during a scene rewrite, where he lost his temper and threw a chair across the set. While the incident didn't escalate into anything physical, the tension between the two actors was palpable. The energy shifted, and the once friendly relationship became strained. A growing disconnect. By the time MASH entered its fourth season, Gary Burghoff found himself increasingly disconnected from his co-stars and the show itself. As Alan Alda became more involved in shaping the direction of the series, Gary began to feel sidelined. Radar's role continued to shrink, and the deeper emotional range that Gary wanted to explore with the character was never fully realized. Gary's frustrations with the direction of the show and his inability to evolve as an actor led to a sense of isolation. He spent more time alone between takes, often retreating into himself and away from the group. While the other cast members grew closer, Gary found it difficult to engage in the same way. This growing disconnect led him to question his place in the show, and by the end of season 7, he made the decision that would change the course of MASH forever. The farewell that nearly ruined everything. Gary's farewell from MASH was meant to be a quiet and poignant moment, reflecting Radar's innocence slipping away as he left the 477th. However, Gary's desire for a more cathartic, emotional exit caused tension on set. Director Charles S. Dubin envisioned Radar's departure as a subtle and understated moment. Gary, however, wanted to break down emotionally, letting the tears flow as he said goodbye. The result was a scene that felt overdramatic and forced. Gary himself later admitted that he was wrong and that Dubin's vision was the better choice. After a reshoot, Radar's exit became one of the show's most memorable and haunting moments. It was a quiet, poignant goodbye that perfectly encapsulated the reality of war. Gary's perfectionism nearly ruined the moment, but in the end, it became one of his most powerful performances. The misunderstood exit. When Gary Burghoff left MASH, the media quickly seized on the story, creating headlines that painted him as difficult and moody. The rumors that followed his departure painted a picture of a man who was difficult to work with, but the truth was far more complex. Gary had simply reached his breaking point. The constant demands of fame and the emotional toll of playing Radar had drained him. He wanted to be a present father, not a figurehead trapped in a role that no longer fit him. While some of his co-stars acknowledged the tension that had built up on set, they understood that Gary's decision was rooted in exhaustion, not animosity. For Gary, leaving MASH was about reclaiming his personal life and finding peace. It was a decision that would ultimately preserve Radar's innocence forever. Life after MASH. After leaving MASH, Gary Burghoff faded from the Hollywood spotlight. Though he appeared in a few guest roles and participated in some regional theater, he consciously avoided the fame machine. He preferred a quieter life away from the red carpets and promotional tours. Gary's post-MASH life was focused on family, personal reflection, and artistic pursuits like wildlife painting and music composition. He also engaged in humanitarian work, including supporting victims of California's wildfires in 2018. Over the years, he remained out of the public eye, focusing on the things that mattered most to him. As he entered his later years, Gary found peace in the absence of the spotlight, living a life that was true to himself, away from the pressures of fame and the weight of Radar's legacy. A legacy of compassion. Gary Burghoff's legacy, particularly his portrayal of Radar O'Reilly, has endured over the decades. Though he left MASH at the height of the show's popularity, his character remains a beloved symbol of innocence, empathy, and humanity in the midst of war. Fans still write to Gary, expressing gratitude for the lessons Radar taught them about compassion and kindness. In interviews, Gary's former co-stars, like Alan Alda and Loretta Swit, have spoken warmly of him, dispelling the rumors of animosity that once surrounded him. What was once seen as a feud is now understood as a collision of strong creative wills under the pressures of fame. In hindsight, Gary's departure from MASH seems like a wise decision, one that allowed him to preserve his sense of self and gave Radar O'Reilly a lasting legacy of purity.